welcome back, people of San Francisco, to another episode of the Giants franchise mode commentary here in the off season after our first year back in the playoffs, the fourth year technically of my GM reign here in San Francisco. As we know, that first year there's kind of year zero, simulating through the real life 2024 season that just concluded. So those years are technically a year off. We just technically finished the 2028, you could say, season, but in this year it's the 2027, where we were able to make it past the wild card round against the Cardinals, but fell short against the Brewers, a team that I thought we were better than on paper. Lost a couple of key one-run games there that we should have been able to pull off, but nonetheless, we're bounced. We're here back in the offseason trying to get this team over the hump. And like it has been for the past few years, this is another really critical offseason, right? We just made it to the postseason. We wanted to make that next step. We have a big year in terms of contracts and expiring deals, as well as some guys that are in their final year of control, the final year of arbitration, that are going to be looking to hit free agency next year. So this is pretty critical for us to kind of try and make a World Series team out of this roster while we still have some of these pieces, as well as looking ahead in the next 2-3 years with our contract window here and making sure we can still make a run at it after this year with some of the moves we're going to make. So I'll just dive right into where we have the team situated right now. Free agency, like we concluded at the end of last video, there are a lot of options for us and our team and where we can go and target. Starting pitching and relief pitching, we know we need a few pieces there, but how high do we need to reach for that? DH position is somewhat open and available, which also would free up first base in a way. If we looked at Ryan Mountcastle on his expiring deal, had a really good year, but how likely is he going to be our first baseman in the future? And there's a lot of options out here this year, but they're all asking for a little bit too much for that need. So long story short, we decided on three key players here. George Kirby, starting pitcher, 30 years old, coming off of a downer year, I would say, for his standards with a 3.9 ERA, but another 200-inning workhorse for us as a starting pitcher. He's been so consistent in Seattle. A hitter's friendly ballpark there, much of the same here in San Francisco, so we don't think those numbers are that much in jeopardy. He's not going to walk guys, not going to strike a lot of guys out, which has kind of been our starting pitching mentality for some of these guys. So, kind of fits the mold there in a way. So hoping to lock him up, he can accept that deal. And then Royce Lewis, the other big piece here that we're going after in free agency. Can play anywhere in the infield, which makes him versatile. But I really like his stats. He's very consistent right-handed bat, which is something we really need. He's going to get on base, but he's also going to slug 30 homers, 100 RBI guy, and he's only 28. So he's still got room to go. He's just entering his prime, in my view. 5 years, $100 million, I think, is more than fair for him. And then Caleb Ferguson, the lefty reliever who we picked up at the trade deadline last year, had a really effective close to his year last year in San Francisco, as well as into the playoffs. We really want to bring him back and help bolster that bullpen there. So those are the three big guys. Like I said, we have a lot of guys here who are entering their final year of arbitration, like Kyle Harrison, like Marco Luciano, Elliot Ramos as well. All guys that could, or at least Elliot Ramos was a bench bat for us, right? He had a really good year off the bench. Certainly could be an everyday guy. Brooks Lee in here as well, but a couple more years of control for some of those other guys. But going to eat into that salary cap. And really what we're looking for, if we look at this roster, why we're going after those players. So George Kirby really helps solidify that rotation between Webb and Burns. We know where we're going to get. Kyle Harrison has been coming into his own, but George Kirby really helps round out that top four. And then Winston Hunt and Eldridge can kind of battle out for that long reliever fifth starter option there. because I don't think Dustin Fletcher will be ready with his low hits category. Same with Taylor or Terrell Hoffman as well. Bullpen, we're pretty solid. Much of the same guys are going to be back on this team. We'll see if Mercer makes the cut this year or if we stick him in AAA to start the year again. Just that low hits column makes me a little bit nervous for the major league level, but we'll see where he fits in. And then we also have Marshall Jones on the way as far as reliever help. Catching wise, it's the same as it's always been. Bailey, Sable, Porter are here. Sable is definitely a trade asset, I would say, at this point. He's got a couple years left of control. Had a really good year off the bench as a backup catcher. And as much of this, very similar to Patrick Bailey, but Logan Porter a little bit more balanced, a little bit worse defensively. So, but certainly a capable backup catcher. So that's definitely some trading assets for us there. First base, Ryan Mountcastle will be the man. It was incredible deadline acquisition for us. Had a great postseason run. Going to be in a contract year for him, but we're hoping to get the most out of him in this year. And then Michael Busch can be a bench bat for us, as we're still hoping that somehow he finds his way. But he is 30 years old, so probably going to be entering the tail end of his growth, I would say, at this point. Kind of a make or break for him. Second base, Gavin Lux, who's been one of our best free agent acquisitions in recent years. It's just been incredible for us. But he's in a contract year. We do have Von Burke in the system, who's coming along quite nicely to hopefully replace Gavin Lux. I don't know about next year, but in the years to come, that's how it's shaping up. Matt Chapman, also in a contract year, had a pretty solid year, very consistent, and an incredible postseason. He's an A-plus defender. We know that, but his days in San Francisco are probably numbered with him being 34 years old, and this is the last year of his contract, which makes sense why we're going after Royce Lewis in that way. Kind of replace Matt Chapman after this year is the thought process there at third base. Transitioning to shortstop. Now, Marco Luciano is a guy we've been trying to create and grow into our everyday shortstop. He's been getting better and better offensively. We knew that was going to come, but he is in the last year of his arbitration, and he's going to want some big-time money come next year, which is why we have the insurance package in Brooks Lee, who is very much the same, his equal defensively, a little bit behind offensively, but was a great bench back infielder for us last year. Probably deserves to be an everyday shortstop, but just the way this team's shaping up, he's just going to be a bench infielder for us, at least to start the year. And then we have Sebastian Walcott here as well, coming into his own in the minor leagues. Outfield, Stephen Kwan, incredible MVP type year for us, and Wyatt Langford, two guys who we've committed to over the next couple of years to be key pieces of this team. Jung-Hoo Lee is the big one. He's in a contract year. We know he's capable defensively. He's been up and down offensively, but just at $18 million being in his contract year, he's got no trade clause. I think it's safe to say that he's going to be moved this offseason to try and shape up this team a little bit better and bring in some help there. As we have Elliot Ramos, who deserves to be an everyday player. Not saying he will be, but he had a great year last year off the bench. And then Christian Vaquero's on his way there as well. Luis Matos entering his last year of his 2-year deal that we gave. He's got a year left of control, which is nice, but we're going to want to give a nice extension to him as long as he's performing well towards the tail end of the season, because he's been a great leadoff hitter ever since we put him up there 2 years ago. Kind of the numbers that he took off with. And then Vaughn Brown, Grant McCray, kind of our only two outfield prospects there. So we don't have much in terms of outfield prospects, which did create a lot of conversation around the likes of which of Ronald Acuna Jr., who's available, who would fit in so nicely in San Francisco, depending on a down year. But the way his numbers are trailing, it's just an awful big risk for us to take a chance on someone like him when we feel like we're in a World Series contending window right here for these next 3-ish years. And then Riley Green as well here from Detroit, who's kind of like a 1A, 1B to Stephen Kwong. Very similar numbers. High OBP guy, going to play solid defensively, but he wants a little bit more than what Royce Lewis was asking for, which made Royce kind of fit into our budget. Riley Green kind of outpriced us. There are some moves we can make, like I said, if we really wanted to go after someone like Riley Green. But then that hurts us because someone like Langford's on the bench or Royce Lewis is on the bench, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense after we've just given these guys contracts. So Jung-Hoo Lee will probably be traded. We have done some pre-scouting there, but we've got to wait for all the guys to sign their renewable contracts and things like that with other teams before we go ahead and make that trade. And there's a lot of big players on the market, so not entirely sure what the computer is going to do for a lot of these teams. So we want to simulate ahead a little bit and just find out if we sign any of these guys and where these other guys end up. So that's the offseason plan. As you see, Francisco Alvarez going to the Guardians, big pickup for them behind the plate, and Acuna goes to Detroit. So they lose out on Riley Green. They pick up Acuna for 5 years at $20 million a year. George Kirby, welcome to the San Francisco Giants rotation. It's a big pickup there for us. Langelier is going to Pittsburgh. All right, so that should take care of some of the minor league stuff here as we look at who is signed for us in the orange and black. I was going to say black and gold there for a minute, and I'm like, that is not the Giants. So George Kirby's the only one. Let's see if Royce Lewis has any competitive offers on him at the moment. Just the one Twin. Same with Ferguson. If we look at Riley Green, yeah, he's got a max offer there from the Blue Jays. So probably rare that we were going to be able to sign him. Jordan, I forgot that was another guy we were looking to fill that DH role. But we like the flexibility in what we have there. So I think we're good to keep simulating along here until we get to the 40-man. We'll have to take care of that. Okay, so the Guardians signed Francisco Alvarez to $35 million a year and Gabby Moreno, who I know can play other positions besides catcher, for $15 million a year. Very interesting moves there out of Cleveland's GM to snag two guys. You see a couple Will Vest signed with Seattle, Gavin Williams, the star crop of the pitching market, I would say. This year, going to the White Sox. Gunnar Henderson over to Atlanta. They've been in need for a star shortstop, so that's a big pickup for them. Flaherty going to the Diamondbacks. Tyler Wells to the Milwaukee. Okay. See if we grabbed anybody else, or is it just a bunch of re-signings? Looks that way. Okay. Take a look at the free agency market. So, yeah, Riley Green probably going to end up in Toronto. By the looks of things, Royce Lewis still the top offer on him. Okay. So let's keep going here. 40-man. I will take care of the 40-man, and we'll get back to simulating. All right, we took care of the 40-man, simulated a couple of days here. Some more signings coming through. Gorman going to the Astros. Abbott going to Seattle. Logan O'Hoppe to Milwaukee. Jose Suarez, not Ranger, to Philly. And Jordan, a big one there, going to Chicago. Coming over from the AL to the NL hurts us there. And Riley Green, like we expected, ended up in Toronto there. Okay, so let's get to the end of this month. A couple more guys get traded and signed here as Ryan Helsley, big closer, picked up by the Red Sox from the Tigers for starting pitcher Luis Garcia and reliever Jorge Lopez. Former Giant Sean Murphy also joining in Chicago for the Cubs. Some big signings there in the Windy City. Caleb Ferguson re-signed. Let's take a look at Royce Lewis. Now that a couple of big names are off the board. Okay, we're still the top offer on Royce. We're looking at what else is available. Torkelson still here. Josh Hader, Volpe, Josh Young. Yeah, still some big names out here. Still some options for some teams. Tristan Cassis doesn't even have an offer yet. That's pretty wild, as we did look into him, but he's kind of the same as Royce in a way, and I'd rather have him than Tristan Cassis as our third baseman / DH this year. Okay, let's sim one more day or two here, get past the renewables. All right, so let's take a quick peek at our potential trading partner and see if they sign some of the key guys that we were looking for. It doesn't look that way. Yeah, we need to wait a couple more days there for some signings to go through before we can try and move on from Jung-Hoo Lee. So Josh Hader going to Baltimore. Mason Miller, some big name closers going to Pittsburgh. There it is. Royce Lewis signs with the Giants, 5 years, $20 million a year, $100 million contract. That's going to be nice for this organization. Casas going to Philly. Yenier Cano over to Tampa. Have fun with him blowing leads in the playoffs. Sir Anthony traded to the Diamondbacks. I feel like they're always active in the postseason or in the offseason. A couple of other key guys getting signed to some teams here. All right, draft lottery. We can simulate it. We already know we made the playoffs. No chance at that. Josh Young goes to the Astros. All right, so looking at where our salary is, we don't have too much to be able to add because we still have Jung-Hoo Lee's contract here. Take a quick look and see if any of these other guys got signed. It looks like they may have. Yes, okay. So, Jung-Hoo Lee to the Reds. He's on a last year of his contract, and I'll explain why this makes sense from the Reds' perspective of why they would want to go after a rental. We are trading him to the NL, which does scare me a little bit, but it's not in our division. So I think we'll survive. At least hopefully we won't match up with the Reds in the playoffs. But you take a look at this team and what they have. They're pretty stacked at starting pitching. They have some horses there that they certainly can rely upon. The bullpen's decent as well. They need help at catcher. So in a way, if I wanted to maximize this, Blake Sable didn't sign because if we wanted to hold on to Sable and trade Porter, but from a contract standpoint, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But then again, Sable's been very effective for us. Now, let's just make this the one trade, okay? So they re-sign Encarnacion there at first. They have Matt McClain here at second, Kim Collier at third, with also Mark Vientos in there, Ellie De La Cruz at short, and then their outfield is kind of meh. They don't really have much here in the outfield. They TFA'd Matt Vierling here to make room for some guys. So they really need help in the outfield with what their team has. I mean, they are a potential playoff team with what I see from their pitching, and they have plenty of stars around the infield, which makes some of their players expendable here. Now, I thought we were going to be able to do it 1-for-1 for Edwin Arroyo as a prospect shortstop for them. But it looks like we're going to have to settle for Roderick Arias, and they're still going to say no to that one. Okay. So let's take a quick look across the league, and I'll get back to the trading destination for Jung-Hoo Lee. All right, we're back. It is still the Reds we're going to make this trade with. I thought we could get a little bit better of a prospect in Edwin Arroyo or Roderick Arias at short. I know we don't really need shortstops per se, but they're one of their better prospects here. But they don't want to part ways with them straight up for Jung-Hoo Lee. And I was kind of just looking for a 1-for-1 swap. So we're deciding on Richard Jew, okay, 19 years old, a left-handed hitting first baseman who already has pretty strong offensive numbers. He's got beat potential. That's really it. He's more of a DH first baseman, but we don't really have anybody in the system to prospect for this. We thought Michael Busch may have been that next guy for us at first, but it's nice to have an insurance policy, and if anything, he's just going to crush it there in AAA as a DH this year, and we think that's a good 1-for-1 trade. I mean, they have Encarnacion, who they just locked up at first base, part of their core there, so they're not really going to be utilizing Zhu anytime soon. Jung-Hoo Lee helps out their outfield right now. I don't think we can really grab anything else here from them. It's kind of just a 1-for-1, and yes, we'll settle on that. Jung-Hoo Lee, we appreciate your service here in San Francisco. You've been an incredible defender, a good face for this team for what we needed. Still have a bright career ahead of you, but your time here in the Bay Area is done. It might hurt some feathers with our Japanese viewers, but we've got to part ways with some teams, and can't be sentimental about stuff. So with that trade, right, it starts in motion a series of events for this team in terms of how we're going to prospect. I don't know why I clicked on that. Edit player. There we go. So we're going to move Stephen Kwan over to center. He's okay with it. He plays all the outfield positions and plays them so well. He can move over to center and have a chance at a Gold Glove there. Wyatt Langford will project to be our left fielder. We're going to take a step back defensively with that move, but I feel like we're going to upgrade offensively, getting Royce Lewis into the lineup now as our DH over Jung-Hoo Lee playing every day out there. So we'll see if that's a good trade-off as the season simulation goes, but on paper, I like the deal. And now what that does for us as well is it frees up $18 million of cap space. So I would like to add, right? There's a few places we certainly could add, but there's nothing really jumping off the page. And none of these guys are going to slot into our everyday lineup. If anything, it's just more or less looking for another bench bat, which I think we certainly could grab a bench outfielder by the looks of things. So let's take a quick gander out here and see if there's anybody who would be a serviceable bench bat for us. Maybe somebody like TJ Friel who platoons well versus lefties. Solid defender, good speed. How much is he wanting? He's also looking for an everyday role. Try to find some guys that more or less fit the role that we're looking for. I feel like it's a little bit more fair to everybody involved. Luke Raley would be an interesting one to bring on. Brett Rooker already has some offers. Conforto, Jock Peterson. Bring Conforto back. He had a bad year. Just trying to look here about who's really available. It's kind of a bench bat. Bring back Brandon Marsh. How much is he wanting? Yeah, $8 million. Slater looks like he's already has an offer on him. Good for him. I mean, we have the money. We certainly could spend $7 million on a bench bat there. We also could use some of our younger guys in those positions and just give them a chance on the everyday roster. Gary Carpenter. Let's play every day. I think that's what we're going to do. I think we might utilize some of our younger guys. Give them a chance this year. And that allow us to see if we can sign some of these guys to longer terms. So, Kyle Harrison, you're in your last year. You've been pitching fairly well the past two. Been continuing to get better for us. I would like to bring you back long term and sign you now if we can. Make this work on both sides. How about a 5-year deal at $62 million for Kyle Harrison? Marco Luciano, how much are you wanting if we go long term? 11.5. Probably will extend afterwards. Let's just go with the 1-year deal. Because we have such a plethora of riches at shortstop, as much as I want to keep Luciano on this team, he's expendable in that way. So I'll just give him the 1-year deal. Brooks Lee, you're going to get a 1-year deal because we might go long-term with you after this year to lock you in. So 1-year deal. Elliot Ramos, same thing. Just going to take you for 1 more year and then probably have you walk to free agency. Blake Sable, we can give a 2-year deal to and make it a little bit easier to trade him if we want. Come the offseason next year, if we're still on the team, and then Michael Bush as well. We can go a 2-year deal too. Okay. Cody Stashik deserves it. Another 1-year deal for you. All All right, that should complete things for the most part. Leave us some wiggle room. Go to the Rule 5 draft. See if there's anybody out here worth picking up. We could use an outfielder to help solidify some depth. So take a look. A couple of potential players, but they're all pretty up there in age as far as a top prospect anymore. Guy can't play defense. Custer, okay, this is potential. Controllable guy, can play first base and outfield. Pretty decent bat all the way around. Keep your eyes on Carson McCuster. As maybe a fit. Isaac Paredes is also here, but he's trailing off. Alex Lang's available. Yeah, not with those numbers. Don't need that in our bullpen. Okay, let's see what some of the top guys are here. Fujinami, we've always looked at because of his controllability. Is there. And McCuster could be it. Could be a potential fit for us this year. I think we will have the bench space for someone like that. We'll take a quick look at it in a minute. All right, so no one really popping off the page in the outfield. I mean, if we wanted to go acquire Matt Vierling, I think we could. Let's take a look at where we are with his overall roster and who's on it. So we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 starters, 7, 8, 9, 10, potentially 10, 11, maybe 12 in there. Relievers, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So we do have the room, unless we just wanted to give it to Vaughn Brown, who I think we will. Just let him make the Major League team this year, or Grant McCary, one of the two. We can plug into the outfield there. So let's skip our selection. There's no one really impactful for us there. Yeah, McCuster did get picked up there by the White Sox. It's a good pickup for him. 85 overall is his max potential. 31 years old. Tigers want to come at us with an offer. Wilmer Flores as a starting pitcher. So not the Wilmer Flores of first base that we used to have. Decent numbers, but he's 27, and Camilo Duvall we are not trading. So that'll be a no for us. Braves pick up a catcher. Torkelson goes to the Royals. Eduardo Julian goes to the Orioles. Kyle Tucker traded to the Royals. Okay, Royals are being active, and they gave up nothing for him to the Yankees. What are the Yankees doing? Those guys have to have decent potential, but man, they're up there in age for someone like Kyle Tucker. So while Cabrera gets traded to Houston, Houston's making some big moves there. Campisano, Brandon Pfaadt, Drew Waters, Tanner Bybee, Josh Lowe. All right, I'm not going to call out everybody here. CJ Abrams. All right, let's see if we need to add at any particular position. Looks like all our guys got picked up. Could use a reliever, a couple catchers, and maybe an additional center fielder. That's what it looks like. If I had to guess, I think all these guys. Okay, one reliever, perfect. Couple of catchers here. Well, you, Chad. Nope, you want real money. No, thank you. Just looking for some minor leaguers to fill in the roster. Oh my goodness. Guys, find somebody for cheap. There we go. And what we wanted a center fielder. Devin Floyle. I'm pretty sure you played. Okay, I'll take you. Perfect. All right, let's get to the end here. We can continue simulating. Olin Jones. Okay. Dodgers sign another top guy. Wheeler going to Oakland to round out his career. Jose Altuve signing with the Dodgers. Correa to the Rays. Oh, that's a weird thing to see. Jose Ramirez is still available at third base. That'd be quite a pickup, but we have nowhere to play him. Yandy Diaz still hitting, still doing his thing. Yoshida's out here. Cortez, Schwarber. Lots of players, lots of options, but nothing really for me. Diaz does get picked up there. So does Jose Ramirez. Let's renew some of these contracts. Tristan Beck, you want to come back for one more year, man? I'll give you a contract. We'll see. All right. So that brings us to spring training. We're going to simulate through, and we'll see you at the start of year number 5. All right, so here we are with your San Francisco Giants. In the start of year 5, we ranked second overall, top in pitching, contact, defense, speed, much of the same, and we upgraded in the power spot as well. And I'll show you the lineups and the rotation and the organization of how it stacks across. So Burns, Webb, Kirby being your 3 starters, followed up by Harrison and Wissenhunt to start in that 5th spot, with Eldridge taking the long relief spot. Bullpen looks much of the same. We are giving Merced the chance to start in the MLB, and we'll see how it goes throughout the regular season. We have some depth in there in the minors, and you can always make some trades if we need to upgrade there bullpen-wise, but it all looks familiar. Down here in AAA, we have Dustin Fletcher as well as Terrell Huffman, our 2 starting pitching prospects we're looking to get going, and we have a lot of relievers now that we can possibly turn to if injuries or poor performance. Like Eric Miller would be interesting at the major league level with some of his numbers. David McDougal, we're looking to get going. Landon Rupp, Mitch Brett, Davovich, Marshall Jones, all guys that have either pitched already at the major leagues or guys that we feel could be serviceable in that regard in our bullpen. And then down here in Double-A, not a whole lot, a couple of prospect relievers there with C potential. Zach Nova, kind of the real true starting pitcher guy that's on his way. Vance Fox is a B potential there, as well as Robert Hurst. Some early draft picks for us in past years. Taking a look at the lineups, we'll start here in Double-A. Again, not a whole lot going on. A lot of our prospects there are in AAA, but Cam Rubio, good contact speed guy. Lloyd German, just a few guys to keep your eyes on. Hopefully they can have strong years here for Double-A. For AAA, we're actually the defending champions in the AAA league. Von Burke gets called up to AAA this year. We'll see if he can elevate his game. DJ Rumfeld is here from last year. Richard Ju, our pickup there for Jung-Hoo Lee. Again, to start at DH in AAA. Christian Vaquero there. Logan Porter, Sebastian Walcott. The one guy you're not seeing here is, why am I blanking on his name? It is Casey Schmidt, who's getting sent down for whatever reason, the way the rosters were set up. We had to leave him up there at the start of the year, but he'll take over at third base when he gets sent down, which make their roster even stronger. So AAA should have a really good year. A lot of key guys down there for us in the organization. Then at the major league level, looks much of the same as it did last year. Matos, Lux, Stephen Kwan leading the way. Royce Lewis slots nicely into that cleanup spot there as a DH for us, followed up by Mountcastle and Langford. Remember, Langford we had in the DH spot last year, so you can kind of see the length of the lineup. to start this year compared to last year, with Mountcastle having a full season of him and adding Royce Lewis. Allows Chapman to slide down the lineup a little bit more, Luciano, and then Patrick Bailey closing us out as they have been. On the bench, Brooks Lee, Blake Sable, Von Brown, Michael Bush, Elliot Ramos, kind of a lot of the people we talked about that were going to be there are there, getting the chance at the major league level to contribute. So it should be pretty much on autopilot aside from stopping to get the scouting done, or if there are any major injuries. But I feel like this team is a playoff team. They should be pretty capable of just simming through the regular season and getting to the playoffs. I would like to get a decent chunk of simulating done in this video. It's going to auto-utilize German there. He should slide right back in. And he does. Just double checking. Okay. But yeah, like I said, we should be pretty automatic as we get off to a 6-2 start. We actually dropped the first two there while we were busy with the rosters to start the year. So a little bit of a win streak now. Of course, as soon as I say that, we will lose. But we do take 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers, which is a nice sign of things hopefully to come. We'll get Logan Webb back in there as well as change up the scouting here. Really trying to target some outfield this year as we don't have a lot of outfield prospects in our system. We did draft a couple last year, but it would be helpful to grab a few more as it is sort of a weak spot for us at the prospect level, I guess you could say, not at the major league level. Run field, first base, Harrison. Okay, keep him going. Auto-utilize that. Auto-utilize Harrison. Let's get to the scouting again. Do this one more time. And then I do want to make sure Casey Schmidt got back into the lineup at AAA. Now that he got sent down, yeah, we'll swap him out for Wilson here. That should help things even more. Grant McCray, we can slide you to the cleanup spot. Okay. Let's get Casey Schmidt back in here. And we can actually slide you up the lineup. Rumfield's hitting very well. I'll put you cleanup versus lefties. How about that? Okay. Cleanup versus righties too, you think? Protect Vicario a little bit? Yeah, I don't think he's quite ready. Slide him down a little in the lineup. And we'll get back to the simulating here. So Cam Rubio, okay, that's AA DH. They can just replace him. Auto fix that lineup. We get done the first month here. Do scouting real quick. Go scout the actual positions now. I think we may have lost a scout or changed a scout in the off season, but that's okay. Starting pitching. Yep. I want you to scout outfield. Let's go to center field. And we'll just have you scout some of the top prospects that we're not looking at here. Slide over to left field, see if there's anybody out there. Matos strained for a little bit. Marisi, okay. Kyle Harrison, broken arm, 1 to 2 months. Ouch. Okay. That's a big one. So Matos is back. We'll get him back into the lineup. So losing Kyle Harrison certainly hurts, but I think we have the depth to get it done. Question is, do we call up one of the pitchers in Dustin Fletcher or one of the relievers such as Mitch Bratt or Gabovich to kind of fill that role? I would like to give the shot to Dustin Fletcher here to start. I think he is capable. He's having a good start there. In AAA, we've already sent him down once, so it's okay there. We'll just bring him up and edit these rotations here. Key win. Let's give it Tippery, and Fletcher can slide in there. And we'll give Eldridge the chance to get some starts there. So that is a loss, but hopefully we have the depth to sustain it as Vance Fox gets injured for a couple weeks. Go back, redo the scouting after each week. I know it's meticulous. I know it might be boring and annoying to have this happen, but this is kind of the process that I go through. So if I have to go through it, you get to go through it as well. How about that? Big series here versus Arizona. We lose the first three. Ouch. Yeah, we were right there with them with the divisional lead. Losing a couple big ones there to them. Pushes us back in the standings a little bit. Can we salvage the series at least? We do. Okay, tough test against Philadelphia at home. A little bit of a tough run recently. We can take a look at things, but could just be that part of the season. Auto utilize Vance. Okay, scouting one more time. Sam Gore. Yeah, we're not able to win a lot of series here. It's a little bit concerning, but we did build a decent cushion at the start of the year. So, we'll see. Why not? Scout this reliever. He's number 1 overall. He's got to have some type of potential to him. Actually, we'll wait on him just in case he gets scouted with the rest of the group. Let's look at some positional guys. Shortstop. Do we need? Let's try third base. Try and grab some more prospects there. Keep active. All right, so we're here in June. Let's see how many days out Kyle Harrison is. So he should be back shortly. It looks we are 32 and 25, 2 games out of the divisional lead. We are at the top of the wild card spot, but again, it's still very close early, so don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. See how some of the stats are holding up. Corbin Burns, Logan Webb, George Kirby, not the year you hope to have after signing him to a 5-year deal, so that's rough to see. Eldridge getting a chance. A little rough. Weston Hunt's pitching well. Fletcher's actually pitching really nicely at the major league level, so that's nice. Merced, like we thought, that hits category probably going to hurt him a lot. So could look to swap him out for someone in the minors. Stasha continues to dominate. Yeah, Kerchak's doing okay. Duvall looks to be having a bounce back year. Probably has a lot more games to save, a lot more opportunities. So that's nice to see. Looks like the pitching's doing its job. What about the offense so far? Anybody struggling or having great years? So Matos continuing to do his thing. Lux, Quan, that three-headed part of the lineup's doing really well. Royce Lewis fit in very nicely here into our lineup. Mountcastle struggling a little. Could swap him and Langford around. Chapman is declining, so now I'm really happy we picked up Royce Lewis with the year Chapman's having. Marco Luciano's also really struggling. Okay. Patrick Bailey's having a decent year. So could give Brooks Lee a couple more starts here, which I think I might do. I think we did that last year, and Luciano was able to hit pretty well afterwards. So let's try and give Brooks Lee a couple of starts at short versus lefties. Yeah, let's try and get him in there for a couple of starts here for a week or two, and see if we can't go on a little bit of a run. So we dropped the first 2 games. You'd love to see that. Let's scout the West since we're out West. And let's just scout some of these top prospects here. Don't think we'll get our hands on any of them, but you never know. Okay, salvage that series versus Baltimore. We're getting beat up on by the Rockies. And Mountcastle goes down with a broken shin. Okay, so he wasn't having the best year, so it doesn't completely neutralize us. However, Michael Bush is not the best fit in there, so we'll slide Langford up. No, I don't mind having Patrick Bailey slide up, but he's hitting well there. Give it another month. Let's see if Bush can get it going, getting the everyday start there. He does hit righties decently enough that I'm confident in that. We can slide him down versus lefties. Yeah. And we'll do that for now. And then if we needed to call somebody up, it's going to be a little bit. I mean, Logan Porter could be someone to call up. I mean, he can play first base. Who could give Richard Jew the chance, although I don't think he's on the 40-man. Where am I looking for? TJ Rumfield. Yeah, not really getting a whole lot out of some of those guys. Casey Schmidt, we could also just bring back up for some infield depth. Let's just give it a couple of days and see how this team does with some of these changes to the pitching, to the hitting. Okay. Just scout some of the top guys here. Give it one more week with Brooks Lee and company in the lineup. Okay, losing a couple, winning a couple. It's kind of been how it's been going. I think we need to look at any more relievers, any more positional guys here at the top. Well, catchers. I know we have a couple, but it would be helpful to grab another. Yeah, you look solid. Give you a chance. Okay, lineups. Yeah, Brooks Lee's struggling, so he's much better off the bench. Get Luciano back in there. Hopefully that woke him up a little bit. Matt Chapman's starting to hit well. We need that with everything else we got going on. Okay, let's give it another week here. Let's try and get it up to the All-Star break trade deadline area, and we'll probably call it there. So auto-utilize Cam Rubio, get him back in the lineup in Double-A. Good little run here, so nice little run there. So good lineup moves. I don't know if they had anything to do with it. We'll actually just turn this on auto. Let them finish the scouting for the last week. Just place on bench. Good little run there for the boys. Okay. Still be injured. Keep him on there. Kyle Harrison is back. Okay, so now we got to make a roster move. Well, actually, we don't have to just yet. Mercer's pitching pretty poorly. I'm going to send him down to AAA, see if he can't figure things out down there. Now we got Kyle Harrison back. Eldridge is pitching well out of the starts, so. But yeah, let's get Kyle Harrison back in there. He deserves it. You know, he's dropping off. Weird. Okay, let's get this going here. Did he lose? George Kirby against the Mets. Nice. Kyle Harrison. Nice. Mets. Let's go. I'll utilize Marquise. Take a look at all the AAA lineups after all of this jazz, but I'll probably leave it here since we're about to enter the draft and go into the deadline. So we'll do the draft, the deadline, and close out the year in the next video. Tee it up for the off season, the postseason should be with a record of 54-35. So really strong close to June there, a nice long winning streak, and also carrying into July. So your Giants have officially arrived, I would say, to the dance, becoming back a powerhouse team in this division with the Padres and Dodgers still hanging around there, around 500, but Padres look to have dropped off. The Rockies are still trying to figure it out. It's between us and the Diamondbacks, it looks like, for first place in the division. Wild card spot, probably locked up between either us or the Diamondbacks, the Cubs, and kind of that third spot. I'd say it's still up for grab, but a lot of things can change still. But yeah, we're one of the best teams in the league, it looks like, especially in the NL. Look at some of these overall stats. Why not take a gander at our team? So, Luis Matos continuing to do great things out of that leadoff spot. Royce Lewis, you'd like a little bit more from a power standpoint from him, but still getting it done. Gavin Lux is another key part of this offense. Stephen Kwan following up his robbery of an MVP season, but hitting well once again. Wyatt Langford having a great year. Chapman's pulled things around. Patrick Bailey's having his best offensive year so far. Luciano got woken up. Mountcastle's hurt. Brooks Lee still doing well off the bench. Looks like Michael Busch got hot, starting every day. Vaughn Brown, Sable, Elliot Ramos. And then Eldridge, of course, is a two-way as well. So offense looks to be doing pretty well across the board. Pitching-wise, Logan Webb having a Cy Young-esque season. Love to see that. George Kirby got his numbers down a little bit. Corbin Burns still being effective. Wisconsin having his best year. Bryce Eldridge is getting a taste of the show. Ferguson, Harrison struggling a little bit. Hate to see that after we just gave him a longer deal. Duvall's already got 30 saves on the year, so he should set a new career high, I would think. Might push that 44 a little bit, but already at 30. Stashik's great. Fletcher's earned a spot, I think. Bummer. A little bit weak from the lefty bullpen relievers, but sometimes that's just one game and it jacks up their ERA. So it's the way things go. We probably don't have any leaders outside of Logan Webb and maybe Kwan in some areas across the board there. I don't think there's anything else we really need to cover in this video. That'll probably close it out. Like I said, we'll take care of the draft, the trade deadline, close out the rest of the regular season, maybe grab some gameplay next year to see some of these new faces in the orange and black. But yeah, it looks to be going in the right direction after a rough start, a rough couple of years, a little bit of a disappointment. We might have jumped the gun a year or two early in our heads of where we thought this team would be, but I think we've officially arrived and we've retooled it nicely. And we should be in for a deep playoff run this year. So we'll cover all of that in the next episode. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.